Now then, our next guest is best known as one of the toughest chasers from one of our favourite TV quiz shows. Now, though, we've all got a chance to take on the beast as he releases his first ever quiz book. Hope you've all been swatting up.
Yes.
Please welcome Mark Labbett to Loose Women.
If I can squeeze in here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So here we go. Can you beat the beast? There you are, looking very smiley. Not. Incredibly intimidating there on the front. But this is a little bit more. It's not just a quiz book, is it? It's actually got stuff in it teaching you how to be a good quizzer. So give us some tips.
Well, it's a little bit of a hybrid because obviously there are quiz questions in there, but as both a good quizzer and a trained teacher, I'm probably better equipped than most people to explain how we learn things. So I put some of the pro tips on what to do if you're completely stuck for an answer. So we joke things like fish or bird. If they say, what kind of creature is so-and-so? Does it sound like it flies or swims? And 90% of the time it's right.
But you see, some of the questions, I think, on the chase, by the way, which I love watching, are very tricky and way off beam, I think. How would anybody know that? But how, with your book, do you actually manage to file away the answer, almost photograph it? Because you don't take notes, do you? You keep it all in your head.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, I think you're right. If you look at ITV quiz shows in the early 21st century, you'll see the questions are almost totally different. We have a much broader range now. I joke we've got a wider range of questions than Mastermind. Mastermind doesn't ask you about the latest #1. We do.
Yeah, it's very broad, isn't it? Especially with all the information we've got coming from all areas now. But what would you say is your weak spot?
Oh, soaps.
Soaps.
Superman needs kryptonite, is what I say. Whenever there's a question on soaps, Bradley starts capering around going, he doesn't know him, he doesn't know him. But if my job depended on it, I'd close that weakness in about 3 weeks.
Oh, you still didn't answer my question.
Oh, sorry.
How you absorb that.
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, right, OK.
I call it a sticky memory.
I was trying to learn, you see.
I think you can certainly work on it with practice. Nearly every good quizzer I know does a lot of quizzes, and you learn from your mistakes. The number of times people say, how do you know that? I said, I didn't the first time I was asked it, but I remember getting it wrong.
Yeah, good memory.
That's the thing. Your weakest topic is soaps. What's your strongest?
Everything else.
Sports got worse because of being the American and Australian chaser. I try and cover everything, and I'm actually not nearly as good as I used to be on British sport. I'm still pretty good. Fortunately, the one that never lets me down, science. I know most of the the periodic table, and they keep asking questions.
So easy,
and they're
one.
I always say the biggest fundamentals in the world, the presidents of the USA, the kings and queens of England, if you learn them, you'll just get point after point for years. It's wonderful.
So do you think you're the toughest chaser or the hardest one to beat?
In reply to that question, I refer to my beloved boss, Bradley Walsh. Yes, he's the toughest chaser. Really? He says I'm the most competitive by miles, and who am I to disagree?
Do you hate that word arrogant?
Well,
applied to
it's an irregular verb, isn't it? Yeah. You're arrogant, I'm confident.
Yeah.
But, I've spent a lot of time with pro wrestlers, and I picked up from them the secrets of being a good heel, and everybody wants to beat you. So when they do, make sure you go off snarling and hissing or whatever, and everyone's so happy. Perhaps appropriately, I'm doing Panto this year, doing Jack and the Beanstalk in Northwich, and I think you can guess I'm not playing the romantic lead.
I'll tell you what, though, you are much thinner.
Yeah.
You had a bit of a belly the last time you came.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, you did.
Hey,
to admit that.
You know the rule. Your good friends can be as rude to you like you like, and you don't mind. Well, thank you. Well, I'm down to 21 stone now, so...
How much have you lost in total?
I was 29 stone 2 at my head was done now.
Amazing. And so everyone's going to want to know this. How do you manage it? What are you doing?
It's a combination. I think the diabetes meds help because I eat so much less. I drink fluids a lot more than I ever used to. Looking after a 5-year-old in lockdown really didn't help as well, because it was lovely. My wife was working as a nurse at the time, so she was doing her bit, and my bit was to look after him. But the number of times I collapsed in a heap at 8 o'clock. And and plus, I'm so busy these days. It's kind of nice. I've got 2 free days off in December, thanks to the panto, and I'm going to collapse in a heap in January.
Now, I want to ask you, because we're talking, you do have an extraordinary ability to remember things, and a lot of people I know ask you, are you on the autistic spectrum? Is that something you've ever looked into?
Well, the answer seems to vary between a definite yes and a probable no. I'm very good at coping with changes of plans, which most people on the spectrum are not. Who knows? I think it helps the job I do. I'm quite comfortable being on my own. I like calculations. I like learning things. Well, that's halfway to being autistic, just on those 3 things.
Would you be interested in getting an official diagnosis, or do you not feel the need?
Well, would it do any good? I don't think it's going to change my personality.
And you're doing OK the way you are.
Yeah, I prefer to look at it this one that I'm a fairly honest person. I mean, one of the reasons that Anne and I get on so well together is, we just tell it as it is. You know, and that's why you saw on the road trip with the Chasers how protective Sean and I were to her, because we know what she's like. And when Anne says she's uncomfortable doing something, people think, oh, she's just said she's not really. Whereas we're going to people, no, leave her alone. She needs to get downtime now.
I love the bit in the book. I write a quiz for my local charity once a year. And you're so right. The best quiz question is one that when you hear the answer, you think, I should have known that.
Yeah.
Not something that's so obscure that you just haven't got a chance of knowing it.
Yeah, I've stolen that off the late Bamber Gascoigne. Sorry, Bamber. But, well, I did one the other day. A mate said it, and the question was something along the lines of, which team has won the top flight English division football 9 years in the 2010s? And people go, is it Man United? Is it Chelsea? Is it so?
That's niche knowledge.
Well, no, when the answer came, and the answer was Arsenal ladies. And you saw all the sports blokes going, and I just went, you sexist pigs, you didn't think of it.
Mark, you say soaps is your weakness. I just want to know, could you please just name one of the landladies of the Rovers' return?
Of the Rovers' return?
Yes.
This is where it helped the further back I go. Annie Walker to start with, how's that? Vera Duckworth. Don't ask me who it is today.
There you go, you see, you do know it after all. Well, there you go, Mark. Lovely to see you. Can You Beat the Beast is Mark's book. And is it out now?
Yeah, just in time for Christmas.
Just in time. It's always great to see you. Thank you so much.
Okay.